call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Dave Peschel to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Betty and Sandy have been excused, and Kenley has been excused. There's no changes to the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It looks like there's only one person from the public, and it's all right, Dave. Thank you. That was good.
Oh, he was such a smart aleck at home. He had his whole agenda of things he was going to bring out.
Well, then we better hurry up.
Oh, he covered it already, okay.
Approval of the minutes for the November 12th regular meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Communications, Dave.
Donations, we have donations from Custom Fab and Finishing, which includes steel sheets and tubing. Farmers State Bank, their annual donation towards the Counteract program of $650. Fletcher Jewelry donated again to high school trophies, value of $300. I'd ask the board to accept those with appreciation.
With great appreciation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
School visits. Anybody?
I did. I went to the chain school. I don't know where I was supposed to go, but I decided to go to the chain school. I hadn't been out there in a long time. Ran into Officer Rodin's. He was out there checking traffic patterns. Said he hadn't been out there in a while, but got a report that people were not following the circle as they're supposed to, so he was going to check on that. I spent some time in Mrs. Wolf's room with the little kids. They were counting by tens. I was only there for a little bit. I didn't realize, kind of pulled a Betty, where they have their recess at the end of the day. So didn't get to spend much time with them. But then I went upstairs and spent some time with in Mrs. DeWalt's room and Mrs. Risto's room. And just really kind of interacted with the kids. Again, it was towards the end of the day, and there really wasn't too much going on. But kids were happy and clean and shiny and excited to be learning, and it was very fun. Mrs. Risto does a end of the day bus cheer, I don't know, or end of the day school cheer. That was kind of cute. The kids really got into it. And then I attended the staff meeting. That was kind of the main reason that I went out there, and got a repeat of the educational. Yeah, and so that was interesting to hear again. And the teachers were talking about the student Megan, who's undergoing some surgery because she had gone to school there when she was younger. And it was interesting too, because with the Christmas concert coming up, the teachers were talking about the logistics of just everything with the little kids and getting them over. Is it at the high school? Getting the kids over there, and we got to feed them, and we got to get them in the right clothes, and so that was very interesting. They're all a very caring bunch that came through pretty clearly. So it was very enjoyable.
Anybody else?
We did not make a formal visit, but I did attend the middle school choral holiday program this week. That went well. It's amazing with the number of students they have involved that they are able to maintain any semblance of order whatsoever. How many would you say are involved in?
Last night, probably about 250 overall.
Out of how many
Well, it was the
students?
entire 5th grade, plus the 6th grade choir that were there for the first part. And then the second part, you add another 100 kids from the 7th and 8th grade choir as well. So luckily, we had a change of people coming in and out, but I know for the first one, it was awfully packed.
It was, yeah, pretty massive endeavor. And next week is the band, I believe. So that won't be quite as many people.
Should be quite
I've also had the opportunity to travel to some other schools to follow some of our athletic endeavors, and one thing that jumps out at it, not only with certainly the spirit that our team plays with, but seeing some of the other schools' dance programs brings to light the quality of our dance program and why they score well in state. Not trying to be in any way negative towards the other schools' programs, but when you do see those other programs, it gives you a true appreciation for what our students have been doing.
I wanted to add one other thing. I have a new young client as a social worker, and he kind of moved abruptly into the school district. And I attended his IEP meeting yesterday at the high school, and I was very impressed with so little time how much Mrs. Reitz and Jessie, the guidance counselor especially, and Denise Seafelt, the school psychologist, had really pulled together quite a bit of information so he could hit the ground running with school. And he started classes today. Did he show up?
Yeah, it seemed to do really well.
That's a good start.
Good start.
Missed the bus at the end of the day.
Oh.
One little small problem, but we'll work with Lee on that and see if we can get that fixed.
It was Lee's fault.
It was Lee's fault.
We have a mechanic with a bus, and we have a spare bus. He was looking for the certain bus number. That bus number never showed up because of the mechanic.
But anyway, that was very impressive how during the meeting everybody really pulled together and has them going in the right direction.
I did not have a visit. Nick?
In that case, I just want to add on to Connie's, the logistics for getting the Chain Lakes kids over to the high school with the performance, or practice and performance during the day, and then the performance at night. The one during the day challenged us a little bit on our security measures in terms of keeping the doors locked and allowing people to buzz in. We had parents coming to the concert, and there are going to be exceptions to what we do because of that kind of stuff. But even then, we did have people keeping an eye on the hallways, made sure that parents went where they're supposed to go and not down Main Street or not wandering down around the other areas. So we took the precautions that we could, but again, it does challenge our security a little bit.
Sure. Next item, there was a warranty deed prepared by the city of Waupaca. There was a small sliver of land between the Hendrickson Center and the, what do you call it?
Johnson Family Fitness.
Yeah, the fitness center, of about 8 feet. And it didn't bring anything to the table as far as the school is concerned. It was just, I think, a mistake when they did the deeds. And so we're going to need to approve that transfer to the city of Waupaca.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. We already signed it.
I did indicate
Can we
that.
revisit that?
No, you can't.
No, it's done, just to make it interesting.
But I did indicate that in my notes, so you knew that we wanted
Yeah.
to do it.
What, that you had signed it before it was passed?
Okay, you can take it. No.
All right, the next item is support staff and other contract adjustments. And as you know, we had ran into unintended consequences when we tried to cost out the 2.07. And in that, the problem of calculating the lane changes and the increase in WRS left very little remaining for those who did not go through a lane change. In that case, I gave a 1.5% minimum wage increase, so that was the minimum. Other people still went through their lane changes. There was a 1.5% minimum, and then the lane changes, we're trying to make things uniform. Some of our groups make lane changes on July 1 every year. Others make lane changes on their anniversary date, so it might be on August, it might be in November, et cetera. So we're trying to become consistent with that. So in addition to the 1.5, there is a everyone who would normally receive their lane change between January 1, or between July 1 and December 31 would receive it on July 1. Those receiving in the second half of the year would receive it on January 1. So it sped up their lane change a little bit. Costing remained, the total cost of these adjustments remained, as I explained to you before, somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000. So I made that change. The checks went out today along with an explanation to staff so that they understand what's going on. So I would ask that you confirm that through a motion tonight.
Checks have already gone out.
They can always.
His deed is already been signed.
Yeah.
This was something I explained to you in the past, that we would implement as soon as we could so we could get it done before Christmas time, and that we would adopt it as a board. As you know, paychecks can always be adjusted further on if you decide not to do this.
Yes, Grinches,
And
what do
we'll
you
it.
think?
And we'll do a roll call vote.
I would move the minimum wage increase be 1.5%, and all experience increments shall be given to those who are eligible on the calendar date as opposed to an anniversary date. Experience increments or lane changes earned between July 1 and December 31, 2013 will be paid out as if they were effective July 1, 2013. Experience increments earned between January 1, 2014 and June 30th, 2014, will be paid effective January 1, 2014.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Next item is school board compensation review. I just wanted to put this on the agenda for discussion today. With the lack of board members, it's probably not something that we would act on today, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a history. In 2008, the board changed their meeting stipends from $45 per meeting to $55. That was reviewed in 2010, but no changes were made at that time. And now we're in 2013, so it's about 5 years. So I guess if there's a consensus to bring this to the table next month, we'll do that. If there's a consensus to say, no, we're good the way it is, then we won't have to bring it back. But I would like the other 3 board members to be in on that discussion if possible.
How do you suppose they'd vote? Maybe we should talk about it now, or maybe we should wait for the rest of them. I think it's a good idea to wait.
But is it something do you even want to entertain?
I think it's appropriate.
Okay. Is there any other information you'd like me to get for next month so that you're prepared?
Do you have any idea what other school board?
You know, it's all over the board. Some pay one lump sum to every board member, and then it's not a stipend per meeting. Others pay no lump sum and they just do stipends. Others do a combination like we do. I think the board president gets $500. The clerk and treasurer get $250 each for those positions. But there's nothing for the other members other than their stipends done on a per meeting basis. Other boards have scheduled committee meetings so that every month the finance committee meets, every month all the different committees, whatever they are, would meet. So that's why it's a little bit hard. You can tell what they are, what their structure is, but it's pretty hard to tell what the end result is in terms of dollars. But I can try to find out as best I can. Surrounding districts, maybe, would that be? Why we go to London, pretty comparable.
I think we got a statewide printout last time, and it was all over the board.
It really
Some don't
is.
get paid at all,
Right.
and Milwaukee was like a full-time job.
With benefits.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can find out.
And I think over the last 4, 5, 6 years, we haven't had as many board meetings as we had previously. I don't know why, but it just seems like it's gone a little more smoothly.
Last year was down from the previous year, and a lot of it has to do with negotiations and things like that we
Is that
meet
different now?
regularly. It's a little bit different now, yes.
Okay.
We haven't had to meet quite as long.
Okay. So you'll bring that back?
I will, yes. The last item under school board is the WSB resolutions. I sent those to you. I do want to talk about the convention, and the board president got a note, and I did the following day, that they want to honor Sandy Robinson for 20 years of service at the convention this year. And I called Sandy and talked to her and said, you know, if you'd like to do that, we would like to support you and be there. And she told me that that's just not something that trips her trigger, and she would prefer not to go. So I did, you know, we haven't discussed whether the board is going or not this year. It kind of got past us.
It's kind of late now.
It's coming up fast, and I think the early bird registration is passed. It's just not something that was on our calendar to think about.
Well, I think what we did was enjoyable, and maybe if we do something like that again with the dinner, we can still give her.
Would you like to arrange something like that?
Mhm.
Maybe we'll change it up a little bit. It was a little stale last time.
Well, there wasn't that much to talk about.
There was too many things pending.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So maybe we talk a little bit about the Affordable Health Care Act and some other things.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make those arrangements. But if you have any thoughts on the resolutions, if you look at them and want to share them with me, I can certainly voice those concerns.
Will they still be recognizing Sandy for her involvement over the years, even if she chooses not to attend?
My guess is that it's in the program, but they don't announce her name. But
They will
I don't
get, they will
remember.
get
She'll
some.
still get a plaque or a,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Recognition, National Honor Society member induction, the list, they had the induction ceremony, the list is in your packet. I've asked Ms. Erb, our FFA advisor, to speak a little bit about the FFA's recognition as fifth in the nation. Ms. Erb?
Thank you. October, at the National FFA Convention in Louisville, Kentucky, 2 FFA members, and their names were Jessica Allen and Nicole Jakowski, they gave a 10-minute presentation on our national chapter application. The national application is divided up into 3 categories. And each category, there are 3 activities that chapter members plan and implement. The first one is student development. The second is chapter development. And the third is community development. And Sandy Robinson has proofed that for us several times, and well, probably a good handful of times in the past. But we were honored as first place in Wisconsin again at the national convention, or state convention in June. And the national took that application, and we were selected the top 10 in the nation. And because of that, the students had to be interviewed 10 minutes after they gave their 10-minute presentation. So they made a PowerPoint that had to touch on all 9 activities in 10 minutes. Yet be very professional and speak clearly as they did that. And they came out of the room thinking that they nailed it, but they didn't. They took 5th. But, you know, they came out thinking like, you know, and I'd rather not take first and have the kids go, you know, like we nailed it, versus coming out of a room going, oh my God, we blew it. So when you get that high at the national organization, like they don't critique you. So the kids will never know if somebody else's program is better than ours, or maybe they didn't answer a question well enough. You'll just never know. So that was our rating at the national convention. And it was called the Model of Innovation, is the name of the contest.
Congratulations to you and your.
Thank you. So some of the activities was, and some of you guys helped with that, was Kids Against Hunger at the high school, and the biological control of purple loosestrife on the chain was added in there, and working at the 8th grade A Career Day was in there, and working at the bread basket. So it was an honor to be selected.
You know, on the one hand, you feel bad because you're 5th out of 10, but on the other hand, you're 5th out of 50. True?
Oh, more than
Fifth out of,
I mean,
Out of all of them. They're
Yeah,
first in the
there's
state.
like a little over 300,000 FFA chapters
okay.
in the nation.
How many?
About a little over 300,000.
Are there that many?
realizing the students that they had nailed it, as you put it, and were probably a little disappointed. They do understand exactly what Steve's saying, a
Yeah.
5th out of 300,000 is, okay.
And we practiced enough where they were ready to go. You know, they were nervous before they stepped in, but like, you know, like they you know, like they were on the bell curve, like they were where they needed to be. So, did our best. And for that, you know, I truly appreciate your support with the National FFA. And when we were interviewed, you know, and I'm not saying it because I'm sitting in the back row at a school board meeting, but, you know, the kids didn't mention that the Waupaca FFA is successful because of the support that they have of the community and of our school board and the administration. Like, they very much know that without your support, they would not compete. They very much know that.
Thank you.
Next item for recognition is the ING Run for Something Better. Mr. Ersparman, do you want to just say a word about that?
It's a financial institution that Mary Felt applied for a grant, and I believe it was approximately $1,000 grant. And with that money, the programs that she runs at the WLC, such as the Turkey Trot and the Walk to School Wednesdays, and the running in the RMC Fun Run with some of the kids in the school, with the different types of programs that she submitted with the grant money, she received a national award from Inc. for her efforts and the WLC students for their efforts.
Another good program and staff member gets recognized regularly.
Yes.
For those things. Congratulations to her. Thank you notes, the family of Ms. Kellier sent a thank you note to the board for the donation to the High School Scholarship Foundation, and the family of David Robinson did the same. Future dates, next regular board meeting was January 14th, 2014, the latest it can be in a month. Meeting at 5:45. December 27th will be the deadline for those board members who are choosing not to run to file a non-candidacy paper. If they were to not file a paper and then change their mind and not run after that, then the January 7th deadline would be extended. But as it stands right now, the January 7th is the deadline for filing candidacy papers.
Who's running?
The candidates up for election include Stephen Johnson and Kenley Hansen. Next item is board monitoring, and I've talked to you about a new standard response protocol. I've given you a copy of it, the real copy that we'll be handing out when we talk to parents and students. There's a colored copy like this, and like the one you see on the screen. But this, in the past, you've heard our concern about having flip charts so that when you have a certain event, you go through the flip chart and look through your teacher or a custodian, whoever it might be, looks through and finds what their responsibilities are. Quite complicated, more so than it needs to be. The county emergency management took a look around to see what other people are using and how we can make that easier. And this is a project that they found and that they are recommending to all Waupaca County schools. It's called the Standard Response Protocol. There are 4 different situations. There would be a lockout, a lockdown, an evacuate, or a shelter, and then some modifications within, alternatives within each of those. I've got a little video that I'd like to show you that we will be using to inform staff and students of the procedures, to give them an understanding of what we're trying to do. County is trying to make this consistent through all the schools in the county. Oh, here we go. When we go through this guide, we're not going to answer all the questions or have the discussions that they ask us to have. we'll be meeting as administrators so that we're consistent in our responses to what-if situations that will come up as part of the presentation, but we won't be spending time doing that today. It's a shared vocabulary and shared expectations understood by first responders, police, fire, ambulance, et cetera, students and staff. It's called Standard Response Protocol. There are 4 actions in this protocol. By the way, before we do that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the foundation that's sponsoring this. This is all put out free of charge to schools, other than you would have to pay. We could take this and make posters out of it and not cost us anything, or we could order the posters from them and pay for them. But the materials will be our cost. But in terms of using the program, using all of the features of the program, there is no cost. The I Love You Guys Foundation is sponsored by parents of a girl who was involved, who was murdered in a school shooting. Texted "I love you guys" to her parents as the last they heard from her. So they took it upon themselves to start this foundation in hopes of helping other school districts deal with those situations. Again, standard response to the 4 directives: lockout, which would be secure the perimeter; lockdown, in a classroom, locks, lights, out of sight. The 3 words or 3 phrases that you would hear. Evacuate, and if you're evacuating to the gym, to outside, to the football field, etc. And then shelter for whatever the hazard might be. Actions repeated on a public address. You would say the action twice. And the lockout is used when a threat is outside the school. As an example, we had a situation at a learning center last year where there was someone escaped from the county area, and no one knew where they were. They could have been in the area of the WLC. We had a lockout at that time implemented at the school. And here's an example of what that would look like.
That's kind of like what it is every day now, isn't it?
Lockout deals with a threat outside of the school. A lockout can be the response to a violent person or incident in the community near your school.
Because everything's locked now, you mean?
Yeah. We're a lot closer to that than we were before.
Very much so, yes. If students are outside during a lockout, they will return to the inside of the building, and then business as usual. John, you want to talk a little bit about what you have on the outside of the building to notify people to move, the different methods you have of doing that?
We do. We increased our intercom system outside, so when we do make an announcement inside, you will be able to hear it out on the playgrounds. We also put a strobe light on both ends of the wings. That way, if there's something going on in the building and we have to go to a lockdown scenario, we push that button and the strobe light flashes telling the students that they are not to return into the building, the staff and students to return into the building. And like Dave said, in order for a lockout, what we would do is we would bring the students in from outside and return to business as usual. But the strobe lights will identify whether or not there's an incident in the building that they do not come back in.
And you also have radio communication.
Yes, and radio communication has been used this year, and it's been very helpful.
Teachers during a lockout to recover students and staff from outside of the building. Teachers or administration will lock the outside doors, which, as you indicated, are already locked. Increase situational awareness, take roll account for students, and then do business as usual.
Lockouts are typically called for by law enforcement officials.
Hi, this is Evan with the Broome Police Department.
Or district personnel.
A lockout. Okay, thank you for the information. Bye-bye.
Attention students, we're in lockout, secure the perimeter. Lockout, secure the perimeter.
The goals of a lockout are to get all students and staff inside the building.
Guys, come on in. You need to get inside. Go up to the first classroom on the right. Hurry, 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 hurry.
And then lock all exterior doors. In most cases of a lockout, it will be business as usual inside the school. However, in some cases, a lockdown may also be issued in conjunction with a lockout, particularly if the threat is near the school.
Again, we have some discussion points that we would have with students and staff.
Lockdown deals with an internal school threat and entails locking interior doors, turning off lights, and hiding. An easy way to remember this is lock, lights, out of sight. Since the threat is already inside the building during a lockdown, there's no advantage to locking any unlocked exterior doors. In fact, locking these doors may put staff unnecessarily at risk. This also allows quick and easy access of law enforcement into your building.
You know that we have all our doors locked, and that would be kind of contrary to what they're saying, but police and, well, at this time, police personnel have access keys just as we have, so that they would be able to access any buildings without, with ease. So that's, we won't be going around unlocking our doors because they have access.
And the teachers all know that?
Teachers know that police have access? They will, as part of this, they will.
Also, a few people from the fire department does.
Is that, okay, fire department and police personnel, county as well as city? I believe that's the
Yeah, I
case.
think so.
That's-
For us.
So in a lockdown, students move away from the corridor or line of sight, maintain silence. Teachers will lock the classroom door, lights out, move away from the corridor, maintain silence, and take roll again.
If you're in a classroom when a lockdown is called, the main thing to remember is locks, lights, out of sight. As students gather in a safe area of the room, lock the door and turn off all lights. Have everyone in the room move to a location that is out of sight. Pick an area of the room that can't be seen from interior windows. An actual lockdown may not be resolved for several hours. Here's how you should wait. Stay in the safe location. Don't move around the room. Remain silent. Staff, take written attendance of who is in the room. Note anyone missing and if you have any extra students or staff.
Then we'll have a discussion about the difference between lockout and lockdown.
If a fire alarm sounds, do not leave your safe location unless you are certain that a fire is threatening your room. If you are forced to evacuate due to a fire, keep in mind that the hall may not be your best escape route.
In this program, there's a little more discretion for staff. One of the dangers is someone, a perpetrator may pull the fire alarm themselves in order to get people out. So in a situation like this, they have to determine, is it a true fire alarm or not? Is there evidence that there's a fire in the building, or do we just stay put? And that's one of the things that they found in the old protocols. The way people were doing is they're taking all of the guesswork out of it and just making it so to the point that they're doing themselves harm by doing exactly what they're being told and not using common sense. So there is some of that judgment that needs to go into situations. We'll talk about another one in just a minute.
During the initial moments of a school violence situation, the official call for a lockdown may not have occurred or not have been heard by everyone. You need to assess your personal safety. Consider your best option. This may include staying in a classroom behind a locked door, hiding, or evacuating. Self-evacuation, which means exiting the school and leaving the campus, is an option. If you're in a hallway, common area, or near an exterior door, self-evacuation may be your best choice. Once you've arrived at a safe location, you should immediately check in with your parents and the school district to let them know you're safe.
That's probably the biggest change in what we've had before. In the past, the lockdown was everybody stayed put. But there's some discretion here. If take high school, for example, and there's something going on at the end by the egg room, and you're in the gym, your best bet is to get out of there so you're not sitting duck for whoever the perpetrator might be. It will create more chaos. We used to be more concerned about having inventory of kids, knowing where everybody is. But the thought now is that we can always do that later. When we have to, we can always find out where the kids are.
Is there a way that they can communicate, like some official person can communicate via cell phone with the teachers if they're in a room like that, so that they kind of know what's going on? I mean, is there a?
I think you'd have administrators in the hallways, in the hallways trying to coordinate that or
Well, I'm
tell.
thinking like a police officer or somebody that would have a list of cell phone numbers. I mean, Ben, don't you have a thing where you can send a message to several cell phones at once? Or?
If I have them all, but, you know, depending on the situation, that's, I mean, I think if you're in charge, if your focus is gonna be on mitigating whatever damage may happen here.
Right.
You know, maybe somebody else can do that, but whoever's the primary person needs to focus on, you know, how can we limit whatever's happening here versus how can we get people out over there.
Yeah, I just wondered if you have a list of cell phone numbers of the teachers, if they have
The
their
ones
cell
who've given
phones
it
on
to
their
us.
persons.
Yeah.
Because I'm just picturing myself, I'm a teacher and I'm in a room with, 20 kids, and I'm sitting there wondering what's going on for a long period. There was some way for somebody to say to you, everything's good, or, stay where you are for, I don't know.
So you're not talking about your initial reaction, you're saying,
No, I'm
wow, you're in a
talking-
lockdown for an hour.
Yeah,
How do you
2
let
or
people
8,
know what's
yeah.
going on?
I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah, in that case, you know, the texting will be running rampant. I'm
I
sure,
was gonna say,
for
the kids all
everybody.
have their phones, yeah.
Yeah.
Between the kids and then the teachers and
Well,
everybody
that-
else.
But
yeah.
we would make every attempt to communicate with people to let them know
Yeah,
what's going on.
I just wondered if there was like a master list of phone numbers, if everyone knew
We have
what
our
those
emergency
were.
call lists and so forth,
Yeah.
some of those are cell phones.
Yeah, and middle school and high school kids will have phones, but grade school wouldn't necessarily, have phones.
What intercom system, can you go to certain rooms and not all?
You can dial into each room specifically.
You can.
Or you can do an all call. You can do hallways only.
I'm just, wondering about communication. Or if teachers had a cell phone and they knew something that was going on, if they had a designated person that they could communicate to,
Mhm.
if they had to.
Each area of our building also has a walkie-talkie so that they will know if something's going on, call directly to them to let them know, where problems are. So there are many layers of communication possible.
Again, discussion points. Next, alternatives evacuation, stating the location in a situation, students will leave their stuff behind, form a single file line, listen for instructions, and go to the stated location. Other directions they might receive. Rules for teachers.
When law enforcement begins the evacuation, here's what to expect. An officer will unlock your door and enter the room. Stay where you are. The officer will give you specific instructions you must follow.
Springfield Police Department, you're safe, everything's okay, we're gonna get you out of the building. I need everyone to follow my instructions. I need a single file line, leave all your personal property on the floor where it is, form me a single file line right here at the door. Teacher, I need you in front, please.
You will be asked to leave your stuff behind, form a line at the door with the teacher in front,
I need everyone to hold hands with the person to your right and left.
hold hands with the person in front of and behind you until you reach your final destination. Wait quietly for further instructions from the officer.
Teacher, I need you to walk out, follow the instructions of that officer right there. Go ahead.
You will be told to proceed to the next officer. Walk, do not run, and do not talk.
Walk towards the stairs.
Follow the directions of the officers guiding you during the evacuation. They could be giving you verbal directions
Right to the stairs.
or hand signals. Watch the pace of your line. Be aware of obstacles such as corners, fallen objects, debris, or stairs which may affect the speed your line can move. Don't stop until you reach the location you were directed to.
Keep moving all the way to the end of the fence. All the way to the end of the fence. Keep moving.
Verify attendance and wait for further instructions.
Connor,
Here.
Andrew. Here.
Examples of evacuating. Again, discussion points. Next option is shelter. Listen for the type of hazard and the shelter method. Take roll. Different hazard examples. Discussion points. And this is a copy of what I handed out to you and what I had on the screen earlier. These also come in poster size that we'll have in every classroom, and it's just easier for teachers to go to this than to go to a flip chart that we had before. So that's the end of this presentation, but I think you can see how, especially if every school in the county is following these same protocols, how it would be just more, it'd be a lot easier for personnel to respond, and you know, it's for us to respond as well.
Will there be drills?
Yes. Okay. There are already some drills we don't do. Now we've got a variety. We know what the differences in evacuating to where and sheltering in place, and how to do that. Yep.
Certainly better than what we have had.
Yes, I would agree. What we had is better than what we had before that,
Yeah.
and this is better than what we've had in the past.
Good. Consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Connie Baldwin?
Yes.
Kirsten Greenfield?
Yes.
Stephen Johnson?
Yes.
Stephen Champool?
Yes.
Thank you.
All in favor of adjournment? Anybody? I think that was,
Steve Johnson made the motion, Connie seconded.
that's right.